Yeah, I'm Jackson. I have zero experience with carpentry.
I studied at a school for historic preservation in Boston and learned about how things were built, 250 years ago.
There's a long way to go. I'm nowhere near the top. Not that I thought I was, but there's so much more to do out there.
All right. Actually, welcome back to the Passion for Craft podcast episode. We are discussing more of your questions and answers. Technically part 4 of the question and answer series, but part 2 of the YouTube side of the question and answer series. The reason I'm looking at Richard there is he corrected me when we tried this intro the first time, but Brent was on his phone. Classic screenager. Sorry, did you want to comment anything or feeling good? We did have, I thought it would be disingenuous to not mention, we did have a couple of comments on the Steve Killian episode. Killian. Sorry, Steve. I'm trying to pronounce your name right. But the questions were specifically about his router bit. So there was a big lead up to the router bit and no explanation to what was so strange about it, what was so strange about the router bit. And Richard and I were talking before the episode. We were thinking potentially it was talking about like Steve had a problem with the router bit that was in existence, and then
I think
what it was, right?
The common router bits he was finding from I don't know, big box stores or where he was looking for them, but they weren't the right profile of the historic sash detail. So that OG profile, he's saying he couldn't match it, and we.
Brent, you just had a fundamental problem with him forming together his own routery instead of just designing a
routery.
Yeah.
Is that a word? Yeah, I mean, no one.
It felt jerry-rigged to you, I think.
No one who's serious about making a historic sash is thinking that they're going to go to a router bit store and get the router bits that are going to match the historic profile. That's just like, you got to be kidding me, because the depth on an historic profile on a router bit is and what you'd have to do is you have to get a matching set. Mm-hmm. So you'd have to get a coping set, mm-hmm. and so that copes the negative, and so it's just like, what?
Yeah, I think what he was doing, from what I seen, was like repairs on site and trying to match stuff up, from what I could tell. So, but yeah, I know you make all your stuff with shapers and cut knives and everything, so just a different.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, but I said no one that's serious. Like he was in business doing window restoration. I'm just like, it's not that expensive to
get
even
the knives
buy
made.
Cheap shaper and to get the knives made. It's just like, if you're going to be doing this all the time, why would you sit there practicing with a off the shelf router bit? It's just you can see that I'm dumbfounded. That
you're frustrated. Y'all have two fundamentally different approaches.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, I think he's trying to put a solution to a problem that he sees. Both of you guys see, right? And then he is his solution is not the route that you've gone. Yours is more traditional. His is less orthodox. So,
no, his is very orthodox. Mine's less. Mine's traditional.
No, traditional. Okay.
His is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, moving on. We've got.
You don't want to keep talking about that?
Well, that was my. I wanted to mention it. I wanted to talk about it in passing, but I wanted to go to kind of where we left off last time, which was.
Why don't you start there?
So we've got a lot of questions on our episode about the White House. And, an initial comment, this is episode 18, the White House. One, Ryan Sue, who we mentioned last time, they didn't know Truman rebuilt the White House. Did they know about the big dig of 2010? My answer is no. I have no idea about the big dig. Big dig. What you know about the big dig?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, do you want to explain just a brief?
Well, did you know Truman redid the White House?
First off, Chris Johnson's no. Well, you did not know, and that showed in the video. Remember the?
Oh, I didn't remember that.
Well,
we pulled up a picture of it.
That's correct.
There's a picture of the White House. Just a shell, and there's like a bulldozer going
inside.
Through.
That's Truman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then, Chris Johnson's guess was, my understanding is that the rebuild was the exterior was generally left, while the interior structure was completely rebuilt. Is that?
Well, I think what happened was they ended up rebuilding the ground, the basement, and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
That's what the big dig was.
Got it.
They made it more safe. They made it because I think one of the I think when Bush was president, and he was trying, and 9/11 happened.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to. They realized how inept the whole system was because they couldn't communicate.
Get them down there fast.
They couldn't communicate very well, and it was just like, some of the basic things that if they'd been able to talk on the phone and figure out where he is, they could have figured a lot of stuff out. And so they had to redo all the comms and everything else.
Cool. So that was the big dig.
Yeah.
All right. Well, interesting. So, some other fun comments that we got about this episode was, oh no, Ashley McMurray. Oh no, this is hilarious, but I don't think it's supposed to be.
Oh,
yeah, Ashley said that.
That's your wife.
So
your wife was commenting.
I remember I walked in and I heard our voices and she was just dying laughing because she was laughing at how we were just kind of trolling you.
For sure. And I do want to point out, yes, I think that prior to some of the more recent episodes we've put out, this has been my favorite episode that we've ever done.
Really?
Yeah. Hands down. I vividly remember having so much fun with that episode. But it was also kind of it was a quiz setup. And,
I forgot I quizzed you guys.
You'd kind of put it together in that way. And I actually thought it was really funny going through all of that stuff. And I remember we were just cracking.
We were cracking,
yeah.
Right. And you were like, because I said George Washington built the White House, so it's Georgian. And you were like, first of all, George Washington did not.
It was so great. And I mean, there were just a lot of comments.
She was also laughing at when we visited that Italian house.
Yeah.
Whenever we were.
Most recent one?
Yeah.
Or
that was fun.
when we were out on the job.
On the job,
we were messing with him as well. So.
You're seeing a theme here.
Loria Azevedo 5994 said, we can cheat looking at the back of his paper. I think you were even holding up the paper. We were able to see. And then Tanuki Digital said, Brent, what style is the White House? Underlings. It's ... Brent, wrong. Underlings. So what style is the White House? Brent. So anyway, I just remember that was a really fun episode. And even just in the, everyone, I think we mentioned this even leaving off last time, just everyone's response to the short, which what style is the White House? We got a litany of answers. And I think the conclusion that we came to and that you led us to, I think was, there's a lot of styles that go into play there. There's a lot of crap that's happened to the White House to where, what did it start as? What has it turned into? What does it become? And so that was, just one of the themes there. But I do think that was a funny episode to look back on. And I mean, it really was one of my favorite episodes. And so I had a question just in curiosity, is there an episode that sticks out in y'all's mind as this is a really good one, or maybe not?
I mean, we used to have a lot more guests, and I thought what's his face was great. Dan Parrish.
What's his face?
I knew you guys would remember. And I thought that was really interesting. I enjoyed, I guess I would say, is there anybody that we want to invite on the thing?
Yes. Yeah. I have invited a couple people and I'm trying to work it out, but it's just with how we film these and people's schedule, it's a little tough.
Yeah. It's a tight window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the guy I was inviting was Carpentry by Mar on Instagram. You follow him. I saw that you follow him, but he's amazing. He does amazing, the stuff he puts together and his miters and everything. It's nuts.
Carpentry by Mar?
Carpentry by Mar. Yeah. He's the biggest carpenter on Instagram, but
I'm pulling him up.
He wanted me to go look at a job for him in Dallas and for one of his clients. It's a small day or two job. So we're going to go knock that out pretty soon for him. But yeah, he said he'd be down to come, but he's in Chicago. He'd be a cool guest.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
that's great.
What about you? Any guests you can think of?
Man, I am way less versed in the field of everything, but I follow larger YouTubers and other stuff. So I think a guest that I would love to have on would be Stuart Hicks.
I thought you were going to say that.
I'm fascinated to hear what he thinks. He does architectural adjacent videos. He does them in a lot of stuff. Like I think, as I'm looking at channels and trying to think of who I want to be like, he's a channel that I really admire and look at, how he makes his videos and how they come together. So I think he's an interesting one. I think he's in Chicago too. He is a Chicago
Maybe we
guy.
do a remote episode.
Do a road trip out? That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Go to Chicago for a week. Here's a question from Kaizen Enterprise. This is on episode 17. This is the Brent Hull interview.
This is my guy.
Yeah?
Kaizen? Yeah. He's,
no way.
Yeah.
Well, he says Brent.
What do you mean is your guy?
He's working with us.
He's working with him.
Oh, this is the guy.
Yeah, he makes
cool.
the Kaizen fence, the auxiliary fence for all the miter cells. Tom, yeah, his company's Kaizen with his. He does the company with his daughter and son-in-law.
Okay,
it's like a joining of their.
I didn't know his last name, so
yeah, Tom Johnson.
So it says Brent.
So why is it called Kaizen?
Because the Kai is from them and the N is from Johnson.
Got it.
So they kind of like Schaus.
Yeah, it's like Schaus or barndominium. It's like barn and condominium. Brent, at what part of your journey did you supply the trim on the house I was trimming for the Village Homes Better House and Gardens Idea House in 2000? You inspired me to start making my own trim for arched windows and cased openings. So I bought a Hussey because you didn't want to let yours go. In fact, I still have that machine, just need to change the feed wheels.
Nice.
Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah. The Williamson Husky is a little mini molder. We used them a lot at North Bennett Street. I don't know if they're still using them to run short runs of moldings and things like that. You can't really run hardwoods as well. They're just a little mini machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Need a lot of power for that big profile.
And so that's what he's talking about. Was the question, what was the molding?
What part of your journey did you supply the trim on the house I was trimming for Village Homes Better House and Gardens Idea House?
Really early. I mean, that was, I'd been in business less than 10 years. So I got back to Fort Worth in 93. So, I had a bad partnership in 96 to 97 and a half. And then so I was on my own, but probably just starting to hang up my tool belt. Just starting to, probably that was the end of that era when I was, still
on site
working.
doing stuff. Were you making moldings at that point already? Like, were you whole millwork right there?
Yeah. No, we had the shop. It would have been here, and I think we made a pulvinated freeze for that thing and some other short run things that were.
That's
needed.
cool that he put them in.
It is very cool. That's an amazing small world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Amazing. It is kind of funny how it all full circled. So our next one is a question from episode 14. Is the customer ever wrong? And so this is, we got a series of stuff from Sparks McGee 6641. But Sparks McGee asks or says, sharing just kind of a tough experience, because we asked if anyone had similarly tough experiences, and he says, I've fired a few clients. It's tough. I've got a couple of good stories that are beyond typing. I've run into a lot of people that just try and act like they know how to do things. Larger companies sent out people with all the right phrases. The HVAC guy story is a good example. Remember, you actually have to have the skills to be the professional. I thought that was an interesting point.
So he's saying like the builders just sending people out. They're like,
and the guys are saying like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, and they show up and they can't do it.
I have no idea what I need to be doing.
Of course, we've all done that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
you got to market yourself a little bit at the beginning of your,
but not even market yourself. You just want the job, so you're going to say you're going to do it. Then you're going to figure it out.
And try and piece it together. Yeah. So the next one we're looking at is the episode on do we need more places like 30A? So this was our planned urban development. Or new urban development, is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. New urban development.
New urbanism, yeah.
New urbanism. So it says, this is by Big Red Greg 1. The first one. There are many
Nebraska fan.
Yeah. There are many classically designed traditional home plans that take up an affordable footprint and are adaptable to further enhancements akin to many of Brent Hull's concepts. Structure is important, but scale is also essential. I thought it was an interesting comment because that is something that we've even talked about, where we've gotten into this concept of bigger is often better, or we've bought into that lie. That
like as a society,
and especially here in the U.S. that the bigger is better. And I think it's just such an interesting thing. He's saying there's many classically designed home plans that are affordable footprints and adaptable to further enhancements, to where we can actually take these things and turn them into good things, or you're buying a smaller house, but you're going to spend more money on moldings and on, making things in the house itself look beautiful. Which I just think is a thing that we can really adapt, that, people may not get behind immediately, but that is a very quick, when you're talking affordability and you're talking that pull and push of everything, it's like.
Yeah, we've touched on this a lot. You look at the neighborhoods, like the historic Fort Worth neighborhoods around here, like they're mostly smaller houses that are very charming. Yeah. So it's kind of like reinventing the wheel that our forefathers had already invented.
For sure.
It would be awesome to make a new community of charming houses that are more affordable because of the square footage. And that would be awesome.
I agree. I just think that, as this guy and I try to just start doing these more entry level houses, we are looking almost always to what they did, 100 years ago, and how they were making their houses so charming. And we're looking at going, what can we steal from that? What can we learn from that? Really, how we live has changed. I mean, there's a lot of empty nester people right now who want to, slow down, want to have a smaller house, but they won't move into a 1920s, period revival house because it's too choppy. It isn't open enough. You don't have the bedroom. The bathrooms are too small. Closets are too small. So if you can take that same, 1,800, 2,200 square foot and make it efficient and make it work there's a huge market there.
Totally.
But we are learning from the past.
Yeah. I think this episode, just on the craft of a city, is what it's titled, our episode 16. I think that struck a nerve or a chord with a lot of people. Not a nerve. Everyone was like agreeing with a lot of the stuff that we're saying here. And so there's a lot of good just feedback and ideas and other things that people have like spurned on from this. So I wanted to read out some of the highlight comments here. I think maybe the best opportunity a good old house in a cool neighborhood is to move to a small town. There's a great old house stock in small towns all over the place. Most small towns have good high-speed internet these days. And if you can work remotely, that's where it's at. If you're moving out of a city, you could likely live mortgage-free. So, yeah.
That's 100% true. I can't tell you how many small towns I drive by and go, oh, look at these houses. I mean, they haven't been torn down. I mean, one thing that made Colonial Williamsburg work was because it was the capital, and then everybody went to Richmond, I think. And it just got left there. And because it got left there, Natchez, Mississippi is another example. Yeah. You have these incredible historic houses because the town became this sleepy little town. And there wasn't development. Development didn't tear down houses.
The flippers couldn't get in.
Yeah, the flippers couldn't get in. And so that's a great comment.
We went up to north of Possum Kingdom not too long ago. I think it's called Graham. Yeah, there's some really cool.
Yeah, Graham's a good example. Yeah.
So it's funny. This is about a different episode, but a guy is saying just the exact same stuff that we're talking about, and like the things that we're seeing in this episode on the door cost episode. It says, maybe you all have spoken. This is John Bunger. Sorry, John. Maybe you all have spoken to this and I just haven't heard it yet, but I think the thing that's missing from this conversation is the scale of the house. So much money is wasted on square footage. Cost per square foot adds up so fast. I think the first conversation you have with a client should be about the size of the house and design for that matter, instead of spending budget on things like more shingles, siding, flooring, drywall, etc. Let's scale back to more simple designs that are easier to build and not so big. Then you have the budget and have the high quality and details in the millwork. Would love to hear a conversation on this topic. Thanks for everything. I think we actually, in recent episode, that was episode 4, so I see you're catching up, John, and I appreciate that. But I think we've had probably 3 different episodes where we've mentioned square footage and started talking through that, and we even talk about mansions and what is a mansion.
It's one of the themes of the show. So I mean, it's something that as he continues to listen, he'll learn a lot of that
for sure. So this next one's from TC9148. There's 9,147 other TCs out there. So glad you snagged 9148. Love the discussion. Where these planned communities go wrong for me is where there's a forced integration of single-family homes on very small lots, apartment buildings, condo, townhome units, and retail shopping. It ends up being a mishmash of all the architecture and people seeking out different living styles with conflicting lifestyle goals. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Can you say it again? I'm not
So
sure.
essentially, he's saying so it says where these planned communities go wrong is where there's a forced integration of single-family homes on very small lots, apartment buildings, condos, townhomes, units, and then retail shopping. And so you end up having a lot of different people that want different goals and want different things. Because one of the things we were talking about in these planned urban developments is you have everything that you need within walking distance of each other.
But that's what he just described.
Correct, but he's describing
That's what I'm thinking. I like it. I
think he's describing it in like the unaffordable sense or the affordability sense. Like I just think of like the apartment building that I lived in with Natalie when we first moved up to Denver. We were in like the heart of DTC, but we were
what's DTC?
Sorry, the Denver Technical Center. And so,
Mr. Acronym.
Oh well, but I'm in ministry, right? And the neighborhoods surrounding us are $1 million homes to $7 million homes. And we were just in a weird spot where there were these very affordable apartment buildings right next to all this stuff. So the retail shopping didn't align with the single family homes that we lived in.
But here's the deal. I think what he's describing and what you're describing is sprawl.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not a mixed use development where
you're right.
a new urban development.
You're right.
So if you're, if what you're describing, what he's describing, that is a problem, and it's a a factor that happens when we sprawl out.
Yeah,
because you have these $1 million gated communities, right? Mm-hmm. And but because of the way the city zones that, they have to have affordable housing in there.
Yeah.
So then the multifamily comes in, and you get dropped in there, and you're like, I can't afford anything around me.
Right.
It's because of the math that the city says that, well, if you're going to, you can't just build all $1 million houses. You got to have things for, and so they're trying to create a community where things can work together, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's, I think what we were describing is actually a dense, because he's saying it's too dense, but I'm saying it needs to even be more dense, that the neighborhoods that are the best, that have the most charm to them, are the historic neighborhoods where there is a mixed use. The schools and the stores and all those things are within walking distance, and so that's dense.
You're just saying more concentration of like the retail stores and like the schools and those
it gets down to walkability.
Yeah,
because you didn't have walkability where you were.
Not.
And so
because the city of Denver was built upon cars, and so I think that's a big missing factor of everything. Where
so many cities, west of the Mississippi, are built on cars,
for
right?
sure.
And so because the South especially grows up after air conditioning becomes available after 1950, and it's all about the car. It's a fascinating story. I don't know if we talked about it before in another episode. Do you need to get that? I'm
sorry. It's our.
We're trying to do a podcast. Would you like to?
Yeah, it's
answer
Brittany.
Your phone
it's Brittany who's trying to see if we're gonna be here. All right, I'll answer later.
No, I've completely. Oh, is Detroit?
Welcome back.
And Detroit was this incredible city that had these trolleys all over the place, and GM went in there and said, we don't want more trolleys. We want people to drive cars. And they totally changed the makeup of how Detroit was laid out.
No way.
It was one of the best cities in America for mass transit, trolleys, and getting around. Detroit came in and said, yeah, we don't really want that thing. And so it was reminded of that because how important the car is as far as how cities develop.
Mm-hmm. And we bailed them out.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So anyway, that one struck a nerve with people. Jeremy 13191 said, come on, 40 views and 2 likes. So he was felt like this is an awesome episode. I really like this. Why is it so low liked? Whatever.
Make new accounts. And
Gary, talk to YouTube. I don't know. Or did I say Jeremy? Talk to YouTube. Let him know. So next one is on, it's a clip from our Why Insulated Glass Can't Be Beautiful episode. So episode 11. This is from Elwin Van Wees, 8516. My first reaction is to get on my high horse and start ranting about how can you have single pane glass in this day and age. However, I can get behind your argument that the actual glass pane is not an extreme energy loss item as long as the window itself has an airtight installation. Now, my question is, can your 100-year window be installed with an airtight install? Is there more thermal efficient glass pane that does last longer than described 10 to 20 years? To clarify, the parts of your argument I very much like is we want to make a window that lasts 5 to 10 times longer than a modern window. The part I'm still skeptical about is the aesthetics trump function. Can there be a thermally efficient window that will last 100 years that also doesn't look bad? And we did talk about this a little bit last episode, but I just think, very detailed question. I think is a really good one from Elwin. So,
look, the whole window thing is a
we'll see
conundrum whacked up in an enigma, whatever that thing is.
Enigma wrapped inside of a question mark.
So, no, that's not it either.
All boiled down to a riddle.
It's really complicated because we all get renewal by Anderson things in our email or in our mailbox every day nearly. It's just like they're saying, well, it can be more energy efficient. It can cost less. It can
it's
be
an indoctrination.
It is. And there's so much information out there that isn't accurate and isn't even true sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's no wonder that she's confused and that she's like, well, how can you put, for her to say, my first reactions again, how in this day and age can we do single pane glass?
Yeah.
I'd look back and go, how in this day and age can you not? And so it's just like, are you kidding?
I think Elwin is a man, potentially. Elwin Van Winkle. You said her. I don't know. Anyway.
Elwin. It's kind of a fun name. You think that's a man?
Van Wees, so it's probably like Dutch.
Oh. So Elwin is, I would say, how can you not? And so it is, so many people have misinformation that when you actually point out what's true, they don't believe it. It's just, there's so many industry forces pushing against the single pane glass that when you actually say, actually, it's actually really good, they go, no, it can't be.
Look at all these ads I've got.
Yeah, it's been only because they've been hearing about it for so long. And so...
So we're actually going to pivot. This is an episode on marketing. So if you want to...
Yeah. So it's just like, I'm reading a lot about processed foods, okay? And doctors are finally coming out, not finally coming out. There's been a lot of studies coming out showing how one reason why we're overweight, we have these problems is because of our processed food. And the processed food industry is freaking out because, and that's the,
Did you see their lawsuit against the FDA?
No.
The FDA was going to say something about processed foods, and like 3 companies came out and were like, no.
Yeah.
Can't say that.
Yeah. No, it's the exact same kind of thing. It's like the food pyramid. The food pyramid is the worst thing. Dairy is number 2 or something. It's just all these carbohydrates are number 1. It's just the worst diet and management for you.
I don't know if it's the worst, but you're right. It is wrong. Like a lot of dietitians have come out and said, do not follow the food pyramid because
the point is that, yes, and understood. And it's the same thing.
It's the
same thing as the fast food thing, trying to turn that ship around when we've been going for 50 years or 30 years, whatever. It's just like, wait, what? You've been telling me this for what?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's great. But yeah, I appreciate the question, Owen. That's really good. So here we go. This is a comment that I just think is really good. I want to hear it.
It's about you, isn't it?
It's not about me. Great guess. Hi, Brent. Great discussion on we're also here, Ryan, Sue. Okay. Great discussion on the benefits of having open conversations with clients. Richard also made a great comment on how it's important to treat everyone with respect, whether a $1 million client or a new man on the ladder. I would also like to add kudos to you both for treating your YouTube viewers with respect and actually responding to their comments and suggestions. I've always felt that if someone is going through the trouble of creating a YouTube channel, then filming, editing, and posting videos, they should make the effort of answering at least a few of the pertinent questions or suggestions. Technically, a person's YouTube channel is their second business. Therefore, their viewers are technically their clients. The viewer may not be paying them money for physical work, but the people watching are spending their time listening to what you have to say and therefore learning something. Appreciate what you have told them, and they will take the time to let you know. Too many YouTubers ask for comments and questions, but never reply to anyone. So I'd like to thank you both for taking the time to respond and offer valuable advice.
Wow, thank you.
Yes, very high praise, but also...
I didn't think you responded to yours.
No, I started again.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a little salty there for a little bit, but
hey,
then,
that's fair. You got to take those.
it was like a...
If you're going to respond
you
out
get
of
so many
spite,
things. I don't know how you respond to all of
I
them.
don't respond to all of them. Like that last one is like at 650 comments.
This is like just a tip for you guys. Like,
yeah, and I would ask Ryan real quick. So when you have 650 comments, is your expectation as a viewer that he would respond to all of them?
well, no, obviously not. But if the pertinent, like Ryan's asking very good questions.
Ryan
here.
asks good questions.
And so, like, if you're asking good questions, you can expect a good answer. But also, just to put you guys on this train, when you're filtering by YouTube comments, and I just figured out about this, you can also put a filter on there by question. So you can see it, and YouTube checks if there's a question mark in your question in your question. So good punctuation will actually help you get your question answered. And I know that is how I have these currently filtered. And I'm switching back between just comments and then comments with questions to make sure that we're hitting pertinent questions that people have asked. But I'm sure we're going to miss some. Anyway, just thought that would be a helpful tip because
you respond to all of yours.
I respond to all of mine, but
it's easier.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
different.
get 20 or 30 or 40
You've
a day
been getting
at the
more.
most.
You've been getting more, I saw.
Well, I just thought that was funny because we've taken 8 months to respond on this channel to a lot of these videos. And I know we're doing it now, but I do think, high praise, but also I thought it would be funny. I honestly thought that would get way more laughs from you guys than it did get any, but it was a very sweet comment. So the next one. This one is, I think, fascinating. So this is from When Did Craft Die and Who Killed It, our episode. So this is by a guy named David Caskey. When did craft die? It started shortly after the electric handsaw became mass-produced. At least it seems to coincide with the dates that Brent mentions. That was crazy. Is that true? Like, I don't know. But if that was the case, why would that be the case? Because people are not, putting labor in? Or
No,
what?
I don't think so. I think you can still do craft with power tools.
Right.
See the festival.
Shout out Festal.
Yeah.
New
So-
sponsor, baby.
Yeah, you can do. You can do.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. Well, I'm not actually sponsored. I'm talking
Are
with
you
them
really?
about partnership. I mean, we're in a kind of a partnership thing
Yeah,
we're
cool.
going into, but I'm still kind of a free agent right now.
Free on the market. Yeah.
You should be wrapped up by a company like Festool, in my opinion.
That would be the one to do it too. But I think, I mean,
because they care about craft. They're not just throwing stuff out there.
yeah, and then they're amazing. Like, I've got a whole van full of it almost now, and I'm like, there's so much more to get. But
Life goals.
yeah, the comment about, like, I think that kind of coincides. Like, all right, power tools are here, so craft is dead. I don't think that at all. I mean, we're still doing craft stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a coincidence. Maybe it's not a coincidence that now you can mass produce crap.
I think that it's hard to be a great craftsman if you don't know how to use hand tools.
Yes.
I think that you can do craft, but you can't be a great craftsman without being able to have use low angle block plane and be able to sharpen tools and be able to have chisels and just I don't think you can do precision work without it.
There's some stuff you need a chisel to get in a tight spot. There's no tool for that yet. So no, I don't think that. I think it just with the availability for every Yahoo to be like, I'm a carpenter, it can buy it. And
the barrier to entry is pretty low, but to be good takes time.
Also, just a tip for when you're asking questions on YouTube videos, if you're referring to a specific thing that was said, we were making 45-minute long videos here, and so it's helpful with a timestamp if you want to do that. No pressure, but
so what are these about you? About?
They're kind of. I think they're helpful.
He
comments,
doesn't want to
but,
say.
I mean, very
He's
interesting.
kind of avoiding, isn't he?
There should have been an earlier episode. Knowing Jackson's story makes a lot more sense now to the apprentice role he's playing. The guy misspelled role, so I didn't want to put him on blast.
This might have been the guy who thought you would have been an expert being his son.
Yeah, no, this is I don't want to say his name now that I've called out his grammar. JP9383 says, I sense the apprentice would make a great pastor. Don't take my word for it, but consider praying about it.
That's a good comment.
That's just because I've mentioned my past with
Yeah, what your ministry.
Youth ministry, yeah, that's what I'm doing. My past, my current. Anyway, and then hold on, still processing. I'm still processing your comment here. It says, very fortunate kid to have so many people interested in his future while guiding and supporting him. Some would call me a man, but some might say it's a bit coddling, but truthfully, it's what every young person deserves. Again, not a young person.
This kid has a kid.
Yeah, I do have a kid. That kind of security and love allows people to reach their full potential. I completely agree. I think I've got an insanely great support system around me, and so I'm super blessed to have it. So I do feel really honored by that and really blessed by that. So it's exciting. So it's really cool. And then we had another one, but I responded to it. That's the other filter that you can put on here is like, I haven't responded to these. So it's a great episode. Always inspired by the raw interaction between you three. More so knowing there's a faith element behind it / in front of the craft. Brent's the sole reason I'm currently attending North Bennett Street School, currently 3 months into year 1. It's been quite the journey. Look forward to moving. This is A.M. Lopez, 9619.
I have to say hi to him when I go to North Bennett Street.
Yeah. A. Lopez, it appears.
You're a recruiter.
So it says, cool. It's been quite the journey. I look forward to moving back to Texas and, God willing, working for / with you all. So
there you go.
Looking for a job.
We're always looking for guys like that. So that would be awesome.
There's a factor worthy to mention, in my opinion, in regards to experiencing the true North Bennett Street experience. So saying if you want to experience all of it, you got to do this. That would be anticipating having a great deal of initiative on your behalf with self-study. Although it's been great this far, it's impossible to get the full exposure and experience of it all due to our natural limitations. I bring this up being that I anticipated so much to this point, and needless to say, there's never enough time. So great advice for Jackson would be to start reading up and everything your father has in his great library. Brent was kind enough to send me a link to an arsenal of reading material, and I have ever since added more to it. I keep looking forward to all that content you guys make.
Wow. That's awesome.
So again, like not a lot of questions there, but I think a lot of great feedback and encouraging comments. So kind of fun.
So those were yours.
Those were mine. So give me one more second to go back to the where I was.
Yeah, let's get back to ours.
Just kidding.
Let's get back to the good
Richard,
ones.
yours hasn't popped yet on YouTube.
No,
so once it comes out on YouTube, we'll get some good ones. So, Dan Parrish was a favorite episode. We're now down to his thing. So Richard, in our Dan Parrish episode, you were called out.
Yeah, like more than once.
Like 12 times. All by Sparks McGee. So Sparks, thanks for calling him higher.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Brent and Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Calling me out.
No, he's tag teaming.
Okay.
He's getting in on it as well. He is, Brent reached his hand outside the ring. Sparks McGee is tapped in. And, here we go. So, Rich, he's very, very familiar with you, I'm assuming?
Yeah, that's fine.
Rich, raise your minimum charge. Obviously, you have the mentor to help you grow, so that side's covered. Get your average job from last year, so like the cost of your average job, that's now your new minimum. Of course, you can make exemptions and exceptions with old clients, but every year with this method, your revenue will go up. Stop doing it when you have to digest the level you're at. So I never heard
I guess you can only go up when you can offer more, though. Because I can't just be like, all right, well, now, I'm $200 an hour.
But I think, you've already said, especially in the last episode, your business has changed. You're not doing the same stuff, and those other people got it on the cheap. And so, I think you've answered the call that we kind of challenged you with.
Yeah, I feel like
you've got 2 employees now, 2 more employees. We
have 2, and then a third kind of temporary guy helping us out.
Yeah, so I mean, you're now to 5 guys. It was just you and John.
Burgers and fries.
I mean, it's you are answering the call. It's cool. It's awesome.
And it's cool because I'm seeing your project managers hand me more stuff. Like, hey, now that there's 4 of y'all, take this, this. It's like
that is cool.
I'm just telling you, you could probably have 10 guys.
All right, you're hired.
No. Can't wait. No, I'd be honored.
You're not. I'm canceling your flight.
Great. Strap up a tool belt. Let's get going. So this is just kind of funny. Sparks' comments like 5 times throughout this video, and it, his name's Roger. It appears, and he's clearly wanting the best for you in this. But he goes, all right, look, I'm on a job and I'm walking over to the phone to comment. Specialize on a single room, wine cellars, theaters, kitchen, office, libraries, closets, mudroom. He's got timestamps.
He's got all kinds of advice for you.
He's given all sorts of advice. You can grow to Dan's level. Becoming the guy for wine cellars and card rooms means only working and learning in houses that have those rooms. Once you're the level of Brent's jobs, you're only working with people on a team, and the amount you learn will be drinking from a fire hose. From the ranch project videos I saw, you get a dose of what that's like. Heck, the roofing crew lead could have 20 years of experience building furniture and help you out with a problem. So he's saying, like, you know, guys who have been in the industry long enough are seeing stuff, I guess. And he comments again. Dan's comment about undoing bad decisions from the other side, having made it past that problem. First, you have to recognize a bad decision. You'll always feel like the situation that created the problem. Putting out fires is dealing with the decision that's gone bad most of the time, but usually someone sees it as others falling short, the supplier, the materials, the trades, etc. But usually it's from something happening beforehand. And then comments again. 49 minutes in. Safety first. First, I tell new hires that they can tell me to stop what I'm doing if I'm not following safety rules or doing something unsafe. If a group is working together and someone is working unsafe, everybody gets written up. If you're to the point where someone stops you and the other one is already bringing over what you need to do it safely, you're in a good place. If someone stops you, everyone is just standing there. You have some work to do.
Is there questions in any of this?
I don't think in that one. Sorry. I think they were calling out Richard. This one is another Rich. Lastly, Dan's comment that you don't have to promise 40 hours a year to hire someone is key. If you're hiring them, they're looking for a change and understand it's performance based. Put in a 6-month and a 12-month review. Let all the other employees vote on keeping the hire on. Makes everyone understand it's a team. Has to be documented as a part of the hiring process. If a hire doesn't win, the employee vote, the boss doesn't even have to think about it.
That's very organized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll end up letting skilled people go, but letting them stay is a cancer in the company. Good luck, Roger. So I think that's good advice.
Well, yeah, noted. I'll take your advice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, just this is YouTube, so it's a little bit behind. It's about 20 episodes behind our Patreon, and so there has been updates that we've given. But just to reiterate on them, will you hit them again? What's the situation? You got 3 new guys.
Yeah, it's really 2, and then the third guy's helping us, and he's full blown, got all his stuff sorted out. So he's been a huge help. And then, like I was just saying, like their project manager are now seeing like, okay, you have more hands. I can give you more stuff. And so before, when it was just me and John, like that works for a small operation, but the honest truth is like, you can't really, with the timelines, there's no way you can get stuff done in the time that they want it with just 2 people.
Yeah.
So you almost just have to, you're forced to grow, you know? And I know a lot of carpenters just work on their own, which I never understood that. Like how do you hold up the other piece?
Yeah.
Like that's tough. So it's been a fun little journey.
So overall, like where are you at in the journey of like, are you going to try and add more guys, or are you feeling good about where you're at right now? Or do you like,
I feel good.
Saying 10, does that not scare you, but is that like, I don't really need 10?
Well, he must know stuff that I don't know, because I don't know. Obviously you do. I don't know what all.
Well, I mean,
I'll
tell you. I mean, we have probably 3 to 4 trim crews that work for us. Okay. And one of them is unreliable for sure. One of them is suspect as far as the quality of stuff that we can get. And so I looking at your competition going, gosh, if you can continue to perform at the level you're performing at, we'd just as soon push those guys out and let you have all of it. Wow. So, I mean, that speaks to the quality of guy you got. That speaks to that you do what you say you're going to do. That you guys love working with you. That there's a lot of things. And like one of these other guys, he's actually pain in the butt to work with. You just can't stand working with him. His guys are good, but his ownership is terrible. So anyway, it's just realize that you're and anybody listening out there,
there's opportunity. Right?
To perform at a high level, realize that there may be guys who have their foot in the door with the company, but the fact is if you can perform and do what you say you're going to do, do it on time, do it on budget, as you say. It's just a huge deal.
Capitalism, baby.
It's not even capitalism. It is being an honest,
person
and working hard, right?
Yeah.
It's just, and it's not like I got to know this, or I got to have this tool, or I got to, I've got to be at this. No, it's just one job at a time, doing what you say you're going to do, along obedience in a similar direction.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Super helpful. Well,
send your applications too.
Yeah. We're about 3 months in to a 10-month, 11-month period of comments, and I think we've done some good work digging through this, and I'm gonna do my best to go back and answer the questions that we've answered, and I may just drop a hey, we left a long explanation in one of our Patreon video in our videos, so go check it out on Patreon if you want to see it immediately. But we thank you guys for the questions. We thank you for the comments. Now that we know this existed, I literally found this 2 days ago, so that's our bad for not being up with it, but we're going to stay more active on it, and we'll stay on top of it. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being part of this, and feel free to leave some comments in future videos. We want to answer them. I think the dialogue is really, it's easy. Like, that's the fun part of this. And so if we're missing something, y'all bringing up a question is huge, right? Like, because that's where we can lean in and give a specific answer to what you want to hear. And so I think we've had some good ones in this session, but thanks for listening.